Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to review Disney 100 Woody from the Toy Story series. And he's also part of the Disney 100 series in general just to celebrate the Disney 100 anniversary. And his drop rate is 42.86% compared to R2-D2, which is 57.14 if you were trying to get him in the lucky time. There will be one more opportunity to try to get Disney 100 at the very end of the month. All of the Disney 100 Tsums will come back for lucky time. And the ability description for Woody will be start fever time and clears a diagonal line of Tsums. There's actually another ability that happens afterwards, which I'll get into a little bit later. But first, let's take a look at his stats. In order to activate his ability, you will need to clear a total of 16 copies of him off the screen, which is not too bad. Somewhere between 16 to 18 I would say is fairly average, so it's not too hard to activate his ability. His minimum score is 130 with a maximum score of 914. So from a scoring perspective, it's not necessarily the best combination. He has a pretty high minimum score, but for the maximum score, it's not that great. So just looking at the stats, Disney 100 Woody is not assumed that you would naturally use to get a high score. And if you're trying to get him to skill level 6, you're going to need to get a total of 32 copies of him from the premium box or use skill tickets. So for 32, it's on the average range, so it's not too high and not too low either. So before I go into the skill chart, if you guys are enjoying this type of content where I review Tsums, do monthly leaks, go over the pickup capsules and the selection boxes, please consider subscribing to this channel. Your subscription really helps me out a lot and I really appreciate it. Alright, so let's get into the skill chart. At skill level 1, the skill range is going to be extra small with a maximum of extra large. So this skill range is in reference to the diagonal clear only. The burst that comes afterwards is standard, so the ball that comes out, it's going to be the same regardless of what skill level you have him at. So really for Disney 100 Woody, you're really using him to start fever. You're not necessarily going to be using him to get a high score. He is relatively easy to use and not necessarily the best coin earner. So if you don't have Disney 100 Woody, it's not really that bad of a thing. I would recommend you to save your coins and don't really stress out on trying to get Disney 100 Woody. But if you are trying to use Disney 100 Woody effectively, one of the things that you want to do is you want to spam the ability button. By doing that, you're going to be using the overcharge effect, which I'll show you what that means a little bit later. After Disney 100 Woody's ability, or he swings across the screen making that diagonal clear, a special bubble with a ball in the middle will be created. And before you just quickly burst that bubble, wait a couple of seconds just to make sure that there's Tsums surrounding that entire screen. You could also just burst it right away. That will ensure you that there won't be any gaps. When there are gaps, you earn less coins and the chain is going to be a lot smaller. Alright, so let's get into it and take a look at a side-by-side comparison of all 6 of the abilities. We'll start off with skill level 1, 2, and 3 first. So for skill level 1, the skill range is going to be extra small. Skill level 2, it's going to be small. And finally, for skill level 3, skill range is going to be medium. And again, the skill range is only in reference to the diagonal line. It's not going to make that burst of the ball any big or anything like that. So again, what you want to do when you're playing Disney 100 Woody is try to clear as much of him as possible. And what you want to do is as your ability bar starts to charge up, just keep an eye out on the bottom left hand corner. What you want to do is you want to keep pressing the activation button. So keep pressing the Woody button or the Woody icon, because what happens is if you press that button as the Tsums are charging up, any additional will go into the next charge up. So remember, it's going to take a total of 16 clears of Disney 100 Woody to activate the ability. So anything that you clear more than 16, it's going to go into the next charge up. So if you keep an eye out on skill level 1, I did exactly that, where I just started pressing the ability button and all the extra charge that went into it will go into the next charge up. So you see there a little bit went into the charge up bar before the ability even got activated or before the ability was used. So essentially that's what you want to do. And then after that, you want to just burst the ball either right away or make sure there's no gaps. So you saw there at skill level 1 there were gaps, so I only got a chain of 11. Naturally, you should get anywhere between 15 to 17, depending on if there's a big bubble there or not. If there's a big bubble there, then there's going to be a lot more, but anywhere between 16 or 15 to 18 is going to be probably what you should be aiming for. What I also want to show you guys is a side-by-side comparison of the abilities activated at the same time. So keep an eye out on 2 things, the charger bar where I spam the ability button, where I got the overcharge effect, and also the diagonal clear of how effective it is. And also another thing I forgot to mention is that the ability, when it's activated, it doesn't freeze the screen. So essentially you just want to activate the ability as quickly as possible. What you're seeing here is the skill range. It doesn't seem like it's a big difference between skill level 1 and 2, and even skill level 3 kind of looks similar to skill level 2 and somewhat skill level 1. So it doesn't look that big of a difference. But when you look at the amount of clears that I got here, for skill level 1 I got a chain of 12, skill level 2 I got a chain of 18, and skill level 3 I got a chain of 20. So there is a little bit of difference, but it's not super drastic where you notice the difference right away. So again, because the screen doesn't freeze when you activate the ability, you definitely want to just keep activating the ability as quickly as possible. You don't need to set up the screen. And what I mean by freezing the screen or it doesn't freeze, if you play other Tsums and you activate the ability, you'll notice that sometimes the background, the entire field of Tsums will freeze as is in position. So if there's any gaps in gameplay, then your Tsums are kind of stuck there and you're not going to be maximizing the amount of chains. Moving on to skill level 4, 5, and 6, and the only difference here is again the skill range. For skill level 4, skill range is large, extra large for skill level 5, and then finally for skill level 6, it's going to be extra large. So that's the only difference, so let's get into it and take a look at the gameplay. The strategy for these higher skill level is going to be identical to the lower skill level. However, the pace of the gameplay for skill level 5 and 6, it's going to be a lot quicker. And the reason being is because the skill range is going to be a lot thicker or bigger. Therefore, it's going to be a lot easier to charge up the Disney100 Woody. There's also a really good chance of back-to-back abilities, meaning that once you activate the ability, by the time the entire animation plays through, the second ability will be fully charged again. I did experience that once with Disney100 Woody, but it's not as common as I thought it would be. Again, what you want to do is you want to spam the ability button, and then once the animation is completed, you either want to burst that special magic bubble right away, or you want to just wait until the entire screen is settled and that there are Tsums touching all of the bubbles before bursting it. A lot of these gameplays I didn't do that, and you'll be able to see the difference that it makes when you do wait until the Tsums are settled versus when you don't. So keep an eye out and just watch the difference there. And as for the ability, I'm also going to show you the side-by-side comparison here as well. The animation is going to be the same for these higher skill level versus the lower ones, so everything stays the same. But again, I did have the overcharge here, so you'll see that my abilities were partially charged up already before going into it. So take a look at the thickness of the diagonal clear. You'll notice that skill level 6 is pretty thick, especially if you compare it to skill level 1. But if you look at how the increase goes, it doesn't seem like it's that much of a difference. So it might not feel that way either when you're using the ability. But when you slow it down, you'll see that for the amount of Tsums that I clear for skill level 4, I got a chain of 21, 24 for skill level 5, and then for skill level 6, I got a chain of 27. So that's on the lower end for a skill level 6 Tsum. I would expect somewhere in the 30s when it comes to burst Tsum. And Disney100 Woody is considered a burst Tsum, and unfortunately, the ability is not necessarily that amazing. However, Disney100 Woody is a relatively easy Tsum to use, so if you are a beginner and want a Tsum to level up relatively quickly, Disney100 Woody is a good option for that. Right now, in this month, all of the Disney100 Tsums that are available will be ×2 in terms of its experience. What that means is every gameplay or every XP that you earn for that Tsum, it's going to double. So it's relatively easy to get your Tsum to level 50 if you just spend a little bit of time playing it. So overall, I think Disney100 Woody is a really fun Tsum to use and also very easy for beginners as well. It's one of those Tsums where you can sit back, relax, and just spam the ability button and mindlessly play. Sometimes I watch TV and listen to music while I play this game, so this Woody would definitely be in that rotation when I'm doing that. But other than that, Disney100 Woody is really good for those missions that you have to start a lot of fever per game. Sometimes you might get a mission where it requires you to start 8 fevers per game, and if you're playing with a regular Tsum, that might be a little bit difficult. But if you have one of these start fever Tsums, and I think all of the Disney100 Tsum is a start fever Tsum, so as long as you have one of those Tsums, every ability that you activate is going to count as a fever time. So if you don't have a start fever time Tsum, getting Woody would not, or getting Disney100 Woody would not be a bad idea. But other than that, Disney100 Woody is not necessarily that great for score and not really that great for coins either. So let me show you guys the results for all 6 of these gameplays. So as you can see here, for skill level 1, I only got 1,256 coins, so not that great at all for skill level 1. I did end up with 4.2 million score. So for score, it's okay. It's decent for a skill level 1. Also keep in mind that these were very low level Disney 100 Woodies as well. These were my first attempts for all 6 of these skill levels. But once you get to skill level 5, I was able to get 10.6 million points with a coin earning of 3,069 coins. So that was pretty good. And at skill level 6, I got 13.1 million points and only got 3,687 coins. And the reason why I say only is because skill level 6, I would expect north of 4,000 coins, and I just didn't get that with Disney 100 Woody. So unfortunately, Disney 100 Woody wouldn't be a good coin earner and not really that great for score either. For skill level 6, I would expect anywhere between like 16 million to 18 million is considered good. For exceptionally good score earners, I would be thinking like somewhere north of 20 million, which is possible for the pair Tsums that we have now, as well as with like Jedi Luke and some of the high score earners. So not really the best scorer and not the best coin earner either. So for that reason, I would say pass on Disney 100 Woody unless you need a Star Fever Tsum or you want to just be collecting all of the new anniversary Tsums. So that's my review of Disney 100 Woody. I hope that you guys found this video helpful or at least entertaining, and if you made it this far into this video, please consider subscribing. And as always, thank you so much for watching.